ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Chris Dace, the podcast newest villain. Just kidding.
What's up, Dacetacular Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Dace Man Show, specifically the Season 10 kickoff, aka the final season.
Thinking back to when we were young, we turned to pieces of what we thought we could be when we got older. Chasing feelings, running wild for what we believed in. To the night I gave my cares, leaning on your shoulder. Close my eyes, I can see it, your hand in mine. I still feel it, I'm holding my breath just to keep it here for a minute longer. Spilling over and until we bring out the good in each other. If heart makes a whole man, the past who we are, this is my cornerstone, alive in my heart.
I enjoy the journey that has got to me where I am today when it comes to all this Dace Man Show shit.
These days, I've been thinking about all the ways you have made your mark on the fabric, sewn into the pattern, the color and shape of my life. Chasing feelings, running wild for what we believed in. To the night I gave my kiss, teaching me how to be bolder.
Joining me as always, Gibby, Frank Wall, Padre, Teamer.
Close my eyes, I still see it, your hand in mine. I still feel it, I'm holding my breath just to keep it here for a minute longer. Spilling over and until we bring out the good in each other. If heart makes a whole man, the past who we are, this is my cornerstone, alive in my heart. Close my eyes, I still see it, your hand in mine. I still feel it, I'm holding my breath just to keep it here for a minute longer. Spilling over and until we bring out the good in each other. If heart makes a whole man, the past who we are, this is my cornerstone, alive in my heart. If heart makes a whole man, the past who we are, this is my cornerstone, alive in my heart.
For the few,
For my chickens
for the proud,
and that whale.
for the Dacetacular. What's up, boys and girls? We are back with another Dacetacular Mind. I know it's been a while since the last one, but 2022 was a hell of a year. And because of that hell of a year, I decided it's time to bring back this podcast to talk about some key moments that happened in that past year for me, as well as where I stand with most things, I guess, mentally, physically, spiritually. I don't know any other words. They're going to go in that vein. But here we are, Dacetacular Mind 2023, and the first episode I need to talk about should have probably been done about 8 months ago, but it took about 8 months for it to sink in. And that is the legacy. Mr. Wade Anakin Dace. So since the last time I did one of these podcasts, I'm a father now. Well, a father in the sense of now I've got a blood child, more so than just a stepchild, who, again, love Doug Jimmy, but it's different with this one being blood. Because in the past, the stepchild, or the things didn't work out with the mother, or whatever the case may be, through the dating process, I've dated a lot of women who have had children. The child is eventually gone. Wade is there for life, and I couldn't be happier. It's true. If you listen to some of the older Dacetacular Minds, there's the episode where I told you that I had to go through a procedure, was told that it was improbable, not impossible, but improbable that I would be having my own child. And here we are talking nearly about 2 months after I think I did that episode. I found out that I was going to be having Wade. Didn't know that was going to be his name at the time. Didn't know what his gender was going to be. Still didn't fully believe it. And didn't believe it until it happened. So let's take you back to that fateful April night. April 26th, to be exact. It was a Monday. I was laying in bed. Jess was walking to the bathroom to go get a shower. And I was getting ready to jump on Minecraft with the boys. And that being Aaron and Frank. And as I'm firing up the Xbox to play Minecraft, Jess comes and goes, "My water broke." And I went, "Are you serious?" Like, that's almost, at that point, that would have been 18 days early. So he's not technically a preemie, but he's kind of a preemie. I don't know where the fucking he is a monster now. So you would never have known he came early. So I kind of didn't panic. Everybody will tell you that I panicked, but more or less I was just kind of like, what do I do? I've never had a child. I don't know what the process is. I don't know what's going to happen. You got to tell me, what am I supposed to do? So that after all that, Jess is in the bathroom. She's very calm. This is her third, so she's very cool, collective when it comes to it. My parents are just chilling in the living room. Like, yeah, you should probably, get the car ready, grab the bags, all that stuff. So we get into the Challenger. I don't even know what hospital we were supposed to go to because because of COVID, I wasn't a part of any of the pre-stuff. The ultrasound, the visits with the doctor, none of that. I didn't get a chance to do any of that because they didn't want an additional party in the room, as well as I traveled for work. So they called me a higher risk, which... Who were we risking there? Because I would think the pregnant lady would be the one at the highest risk, considering she slept next to me. But we're on our way to the Hospital of Our Lady of Lourdes in Camden. I pull up at a kamikaze landing onto the sidewalk, and I go, "Hey, she's pregnant." So I don't know what to do. And an officer helped me because clearly I'm an idiot. He rolled up with the wheelchair, picked up Jess, took her into the hospital and said, "All right, go down the street, make a right, and then you'll find a parking garage." That is where the officer led me astray. Because when you went down, made a right, you ended up in the heart of Camden in a 2015 Dodge Challenger, and it was frightening. So I'm driving through Camden as I'm assuming Jess is giving birth. I finally just park into a parking lot that's right across the street that was a hell of a lot closer than making a right, and get up to the room. So I get up there, and Jess is instructing all the nurses before I got there not to make sure that I didn't leave, because honestly I didn't want to be in the room. I don't want to see how the sausage is made. So we're there for about 4 hours at that point. So it turned over into April 27th, And of course, I'm pissing and moaning because I'm bored. I'm sitting in the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's late. I'm tired. Technically have work the next morning. And not to mention, Jimmy had to get on the bus in the morning to go to school. So, like, there was a lot of factors running through my head of, like, can't be here right now as we inch closer to the early hours. Then finally, Wade pops out around 2 a.m. And since the room was so small, I couldn't get away from it and saw everything and ruined my eyes for a while. And he was so tiny. He came out. He fit in my hand. There was a little bit of a nerve-wracking moment. Apparently, when he was coming out, he took a lot of fluid into his lungs because of him being stubborn. And they were the cool thing was where I knew he was basically mine and a pain in the ass. As they're trying to suck the fluid out of his lungs, he's ripping the tube out of his mouth and fighting the nurse and smacking the shit out of the nurse. And I'm like, this kid is 18 days early. He's not a monster like everybody anticipated him to be. And he's already giving shit to the doctors. And I was like, yep, that right there, that's my boy. So the rest is, after that, I spent about an hour with Jess and Wade, filling out the paperwork, doing the hold the child that smells weird concept. And then finally it was like, hey, we got another one at home that I need to make sure gets on the bus. And I headed out. So at that point, I didn't see Wade again for another 12 hours when I was able to break away in the afternoon. Because a part of him coming 18 days early is a lot of the stuff we had planned to do over the weekend before he was coming had to be done that Wednesday. Wade also will go on historical record for the past 8 months of ruining 2 AEW events that I was supposed to go to. Because on April 27th, there was an AEW event at the Leacord Centers that I had to sell the tickets to, which was disappointing. And then, of course, in September, the little man got RSV, and the same thing happened where I had to give up the tickets. So I'm beginning to think Wade does not like wrestling. That'll hurt my heart a little bit. But he ruined 2 AEW events we were supposed to go to. Bought him headphones and everything for it, too. It's for like the noise stuff, and he fucked up the September getting RSV. Little shit. Anyway, fast-tracking too much there. So Wade is born. He spent 4 days in the hospital, with the reasoning being he was a little jaundiced. So they kept him under a UV light for the weekend, and I think because it was the weekend, well, basically he discharged on Friday afternoon. So I know Jess, when she tells the story, is not too fanatical of the fact that they kept him an extra day. Mainly because she was ready to go. Like, I showed up on Wednesday and she was packed. And they're like, no, you're here till at least Thursday. And then Thursday did it to her again. And I thought she was going to lose her shit. So then Wade comes home. Completely shifting the dynamic of the household. For the first time in 13 years, I switched the side of the bed that I was on. Now, instead of being close to the door, I was close to the window. There's a giant-ass crib in the way. Well, at the time, it was a bassinet that hung over the bed, so that wasn't as bad. Now it's a big-ass crib that's in the fucking way. And so begins parenting. I didn't hold him much in the beginning. There was a couple times. He was just so small, and I was a little nervous about it. Him and I get along a hell of a lot better now that he's a fucking monster. But it was still surreal and not... it still didn't feel real. Like, it really didn't. He was very quiet. Because of the fluid in the lungs, he had an issue with his breathing that was nerve-wracking, which when they finally fixed it with a nebulizer, it was more nerve-wracking the first night he didn't make any noise. He gets so used to 6 months of this, like, wheezing / like, oh, well, that's just, it is what it is, until a doctor goes, no, put him on the nebulizer, and then all of a sudden he's clear. Terrifying to not hear him anymore. But also terrifying to hear that. Because there would be times in the middle of the night where he would just, like, stop wheezing, and I would wake up out of a sound sleep. I didn't get a good rest until probably August, so 4 months after he was born, mainly because of the wheezing. There was another incident that happened that made me even more terrified, sent me down a rabbit hole of looking up what happens to infants just randomly, and I couldn't mentally digest that scenario if it had occurred. It's compounded by the fact that there was the results from 2018, I believe it was, where it said it was improbable. So the improbable happened, and then now I'm being told that, like, hey, you're not out of the woods for, like, the first year and a half, because, like, babies do this weird thing where they just, they stop breathing. They'll just pass away in their sleep. Like, things like that, which is just like, what? Because at least when he was born, none of that was in my mind. Basically, I was nervous that he was a premature baby, and then the doctor was like, no, this kid's got a lot of strength. He's ripping out the tubes. He's pretty much a fighter. And I was calm about that. And then, you start hearing stories, you start talking to other families, you start seeing what happens to other families, and then it's just like, holy shit. You're not out of the woods for the first year. And here I am 8 months in, still not out of the woods, because now, even though some of the fears that I had within the first 4 months are gone, he's a daredevil that thinks it's funny to crawl his ass over to the edge of the bed and see how far he can get before somebody grabs him. So now I got to watch out for his stupidity in that matter. On top of, it's still not a year and a half mark. And it's just, I did not expect that nerve-wracking ability. And this is going to sound bad, but the reason I didn't expect this is because there's so many people that I know that have kids. And I didn't hear any of these issues. I never heard any of these horror stories. And you know what? Maybe I had heard them, and I just, because I was young, dumb, single, didn't pay attention close enough, especially when it was written off of like, you having kids is very improbable, so what would be the point of even expressing concern that would ever happen to me? Which is a complete dick move / arrogant move / selfish move. But at the same time, you don't expect it to happen to you. And now here you are with a kid who it wasn't a real thing up until the birth. Everybody's asking, like, are you excited? You're doing the gender reveal. You're doing all this, that, all kinds of things. And it's like, nah, she just got a little fat. And that's all that it kind of registered with. As callous as it sounds, it's like, she's just got a little bit of a belly. And then he was here. And even within the first month, it was just kind of like, I'm not equipped to pick him up because he's so fragile. The reality of it really sunk in when she went back to work. And then it was just him and I. It started coming down to one-on-one time with the baby and the baby interacting. The baby learning certain things that occur, such as call words to the echo devices within the household. The moment you say the one, he turns to the TV because he knows that's what's coming next. So he knows the TV's on. So you're watching this blob learn things, take a personality, start forming facial features and looking human-esque, all in front of your eyes, which is just a crazy and bizarre feeling for me. Because, again, the improbable became probable. And here I am now with a child who has my last name, has my DNA, and for all intents and purposes has the same exact personality. He is a game changer when it comes to things. I had rules set in place for me when I was not having kids. I didn't want to see people's kids in the news feed. Now I'm one of those assholes that post a picture or two a month. I don't post on the frequency of some people, but I do happen to post things now, which is kind of against my rule. And I used to unfollow people as they did it or unfriend them because I didn't want to see it all the time. So I want to go on the record saying that I don't do it all the time. There's primarily a lot more of him on my Facebook feed just because of Jess tags me. Other people, Randy tags me and stuff. Like I get tagged by other people that he is in the pictures. And I don't use Facebook as much as I did, we'll just say like 5-6 years ago. So it's basically when I am on there, I just post something, get off, and I don't actually do anything on it. The real purpose for Facebook, at least for me these days, is Messenger. So you're going to see a lot of floods of Wade because I don't post enough to warrant anything else to be on there. But that was also a perspective changer too, because if you think about it, I never did that stuff. I hated seeing that stuff. And now I do that stuff. I don't do the whole matte thing with the numbers. What I'm trying to do is, since I have Photoshop and... sorry, I don't know where the hell that's coming from. Since I have Photoshop and stuff, I want to put side-by-sides of him to show the progress of what he looks like, going from blob to slob, I guess. I don't know. Just basically progressing him through those means, rather than doing like, oh, we're going to put him on the mat and then the circle counter or whatever with that. And that's cool if you do it, but just it wasn't for me. And he's got a lot of milestones that have happened so far that I do comment once in a while. I was impressed at the moment he started moving on to baby food. He has become a monster in that aspect of that he doesn't care for milk. He doesn't care for bottles. He wants everything that adults have. I've watched him, like, he began crawling or scooting, army crawling, because of food. Like, he saw a donut, wanted it, and went for it. I've had him sit on my lap and watch him spring off me to go after somebody for pizza. So the kid is highly motivated by food and electronics. He constantly steals phones. He'll steal remotes, but won't play with his toys. So he's a little advanced in that method of like, I want the cooler stuff, the better stuff. I'm ready to be older. I think it doesn't help that Jimmy is in the picture. It doesn't. But I don't want to like, oh, Jimmy shouldn't be here. It's more so of Jimmy is pushing Wade to want to do what Jimmy's doing. And there's a 5-year gap there. So it's... Wade can't even hold himself up, but he's trying to stand up, he's trying to walk, he's trying to cruise. I think part of the reason he goes to the edge of the bed and looks down is because Jimmy does this thing where he hides at the bottom of the bed and pops up to scare him and play with him, so Wade's constantly looking on the edge of the bed to see if Jimmy's there. He is very attentive to people. He knows when Mommy enters the room. He knows when Jimmy enters the room. He smiles when I enter the room, but I'm third on the ranking scale, so he doesn't get as excited. I think the ranking goes Jimmy is at the top, Mommy is second, and I firmly believe just because she has boob milk, and then Daddy's third. He's very reactive to his pop-up, his mom, and then the crazy thing is, as he's shy in public. So it'll take a few minutes for him to warm up to people, but when he's in walking to Wawa with Jess, because she wears that front backpack thing, he's going nuts. And then the moment he walks into Wawa, he's pulling himself so far into Jess's chest, people can't see his face. So he's got some shyness there, but at the same time, he's definitely got that I want to perform type bullshit that his dad has. He's chatty. The kid will not shut the hell up. If you watch any of our streams on Twitch, there's the times that I'm not talking on Jared or Gibby's stream is because he's just in the background and just rah, 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 on and on and on and on. To the point where he drowns out me, and I'm a loud individual to begin with. He pulls himself up now, which is terrifying. The crib he had 2 levels. We had to get rid of the second level because of how well he was pulling himself up. Working one day, typing away on the computer, I hear the rah, rah, rah in the background. And I turn around, and he's fully pulled up, smiling at me with his shit-eating grin of like, I'm here. What are you going to do now, Daddy? And that's most of our relationship, is him challenging of like, look, you thought that I would just sit here contently, and now I'm at your feet, or I'm in your face, or, oh, you thought you're going to play the PlayStation? Well, watch me hit this joystick every 5 seconds. So now you're getting shot, and your shot is off fucking screen. But I adore this kid. There is something about him that fundamentally changed me. And by that, I would say I'm 90% who I am, but there's now 10% that gives a damn about someone else. Like, truly, truly gives a damn. Which is sad to say, but like, for example, and we'll talk about this in a future episode, I recently started a new job, and one of the perks of the new job is that every year they do an off-site retreat, because the way the job works, you're constantly traveling and you don't get to see most of the people in your company. So they meet up in a spot, and this happened to be Cancun this year. So I'm down there, and I found myself wanting to FaceTime the family each night, and it's because of that boy. I traveled once or a couple times before while I was with Jess and Jimmy, and we'd FaceTime probably once during the trip. So like if it was a 4-day trip, we would pick a night, just FaceTime, talk, watch TV, just something together. And with Cancun, I was FaceTiming them before I went to bed, and FaceTiming them when I got up and had breakfast. So he has definitely pulled a heartstring that makes me more susceptible to caring about, like, hey, the family stuff. Christmas mattered a little bit more this year. Thanksgiving mattered a little bit more this year. Not buying as much dumb shit as I'm used to buying mattered this year. So he's definitely straightened me out in that sense, and it's because this little boy is my world. I had a best friend in Jimmy. I still have a best friend in Jimmy. And now I have a mini-me. And these two boys have just completely changed my motivations. Part of the new job also required me to get health insurance. So now I'm actually looking to see doctors and get in shape and be around for a while, whereas before it's like, yeah, just run the car until the car dies and then take the tags off and leave it. Now I gotta at least be around for 18 years to see Wade through to adulthood, as well as Jimmy. So it's a different perspective than what it was 3 years ago. I mean, if you talked to me 3 years ago, I was not in a good headspace. Shit went down. We've talked to it at length, and I was just, that's where the mentality of just ride the car until the car falls apart came in when it came to me. And now here I am 3 years later telling you, like, I got to upgrade to a minivan that can run for 18 years, all right? It needs to have SpongeBob on DVD. It needs to be ready to rock and roll. And you got to have some kind of cleaning plan because these fuckers are sticky. It's crazy. It's wonderful. It's horrible. It's all mashed up into a ball. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I used to, I would say probably a year ago, 2 years ago, I would go to bed and just like did not care if I woke up, which is a horrible thing. I wouldn't say like, let's put it this way. I wasn't suicidal, but at the same time, if I was taken in the middle of the night, I was cool with it. I made peace of like, all right, you had a good 33-year run, let it go. Now I lay down. I don't have those kind of thoughts anymore. Most of the time I'm just exhausted, but in a good way. so much had changed in 2022, and so much of it was triggered by the fact of Wade and him beating the odds to be here today. Both, odds that I stacked against him because, I was not fully up to the task, per se. That's not the medical way to say it, but, he wasn't supposed to be, it was improbable for him to be here. He's here, which then made me I paid off my car. I finally got out of the 19.5-year relationship with the company I was with, and I'm trying to better things that I had just become content with. So instead of being in this world content and just moving along, going through the motions, now I'm a little bit happier going through the motions. There are still times that, you want more, but now I want more and we'll go get more. For the longest time, I wanted more and then just went, I'm never going to get more. Wade is proof that I can. Wade is motivation that I should. And Wade will also be the needle mover as to why I do. So that's why I wanted to do the first episode back of A Dacetacular Mind on the birth of my son and what it's been like in the last 8 months. The kid has experienced so much that he'll never know he did. I mean, he'll know because of pictures, but he ain't going to remember it. He's gone to so many Phillies games. He's been to a Phillies game at Met Stadium. He has been up and down the East Coast. He's been to Disney. He has eaten ice cream. He is all over the board. And it's incredible that I am able to provide this for the two boys. And it's a different feeling. What happened last year, I may have done in my 20s. And it was just, I shrug it off. I don't remember too much of it. And it just was just like, oh yeah, I'm in Miami this week. And it is what it is. Now it's like, holy shit, I took my family to Disney. Holy shit, we all went to a Mets game. And they won. The Phillies won. It's the moments hit better. Same moments, but hit better because now other people appreciate it. So I highly recommend starting your own pod because those pods can just do what you kind of want them to do. Especially when you're trying to do stuff and people are like, oh, I don't know, I got money. I don't know. You get your own pod, you just take that pod out and you do whatever the fuck you want. And then you get to have those moments. And they hit better because it's a pod that wants to be around you. So Wade is my needle mover. Wade is my driving factor. And I hope in 5 years, 10 years, Wade's doing this kind of stuff. He probably won't. He'll probably be a genius or a doctor, lawyer, or something that isn't in the realm of what I can help him with. But I am excited for the future journey with him. I am so glad he's here. I love that boy to death. I love Jimmy to death. I am stoked for 2023 and what he what brings us all. He'll turn 1 this year. Jimmy turns 6. Got some milestones for these two kids coming up. And I will be here doing A Dacetacular Mind, hopefully weekly, because I have a couple episodes lined up. A lot of stuff happened in 2022 that needs to be talked about. Wade being the key one, the first mover. But I talked about it a little bit in this episode. I left a job after 19.5 years. And if you don't think that warrants discussion, or that I can't spill some tea, or, there's just some... I did a lot of episodes revolving around a breakup. This was the biggest breakup. I thought the future was there. I thought I was a lifer there. And here I am on a new journey, happier, and enjoying what I do. It's not. I'm not acting. I'm not doing movies. I'm not doing that creative stuff. But this is. I'm taking something I'm good at and doing something that doesn't make me miserable. And you bet your ass we're going to have a couple episodes talking about that because there's a lot of iterations of what the 19.5 years were. And they all had different experiences, different life lessons. And then the final year really was a life lesson and eye-opening as to why I got out. So that'll be down the pipeline. There's a couple things else I want to talk about. My first trip to Disney in 16 years and why that place sucks. But it was still cool. The vacation, my first real vacation in 3 years, and it wasn't even for me. It'll be neat to talk about. Paid off Pepper. That was a big moment. Big, I would say an episode about being fiscally responsible, because that all of a sudden started happening, which was a weird concept for me. And then just in general, where the future holds us. This is also the last year, we're in the 6-month run, the final 6 months of the Dace Man Show, something I've been doing for 10 years. And who knows what the future holds after that. I want to do some episodes of Dacetacular Mind where I sit and talk to some of the hosts from the Dace Man Show and people who have been involved, people who are currently on the show, people who were on the show, people who were on the show and don't talk to me. Like, I want to have conversations about it because it was a decade of doing something. It might not have been the most popular thing. You may not have watched it. You may have known about it. You may not even support it. That's fine. But it was 10 years. So I think things that go a decade or more warrant conversations. We talked about the origins of it. So now let's talk about the life of it, and then ultimately the death of it, or at least the retirement of it. And what happens after that? June 26th is the finale of that show. What happens in July? What happens that first Tuesday in July where we're not meeting in the basement to do a show? And knowing that, like, you're not doing a show the week after. Because I know we've been kind of sporadic with our episodes throughout 2022 because we all have adult lives now. But what happens when reality sets in that this isn't going to be a weekly outlet anymore? Will a new weekly outlet appear? Will we do new projects? Will the death of the Dace Man Show be the death of BPP? Who knows? We're going into our 10th Dacetacular Gaming for a Cause, March 30th to April 2nd. There's a lot of milestones coming up and a lot of things I'd like to talk about. So that's why I wanted to bring back this podcast. The Dacetacular Mind is a one-on-one with Chris Dace and whoever decides to listen, and me just opening my mouth, vomiting out all the stuff that's on my brain. Before it was therapeutic. Now it's still therapeutic, but at the same time, it's in a different space. When the Dacetacular Mind debuted, it was more from a space of sadness, trying to heal. And now here I am healed, trying to share the joyous experiences that have come from the healing process. So I'm excited. I hope this recorded. I've been watching the volume thing back and forth. I'll be severely disappointed if it didn't record. But if it did, yay! We got our first episode back in 2023. So I hope 2023 is good to you as 22 was good to me. I hope 23 is progressive for myself as well. I don't think I'll top 2022 because a lot of life-changing events happened that year for me. So in 2023, if I make it out alive, that's probably all I should be happy for. And let's get it. If you're someone who works with me on BPP stuff, let's fucking get it. Let's push this thing to the moon. If you're someone who works with me at my new company, hey, sorry you just listened to that. Please don't go back and watch other things because I'd like to keep my job. Just kidding. You gotta think the Dace Man Show is a character. Just throw that out there. But let's get it there too. Let's go make money. Let's go to the moon with what we can do there. And if you're just someone who's a friend, family, supporting, stick around for the journey. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of things to discuss, and I'm glad that somebody listened. So I still don't think I have an ending for this. I don't think I ever did. I don't think I ever will. Just kind of a natural stopping point rather than just be like, oh, conversation's over, dead air. But tune in next time when we open the mind of the Dacetacular one here and just vomit all over you my feelings and my thoughts and my experiences. So deal with me until I pass on and Wade does this shit. And then you better support my fucking kid or I'll find you. Just kidding. Love you all. Dacetacular Mind. 2023, let's get it. Bye, guys.